Welcome back to the fourth part of this series where I try to see if I can beat Final Fantasy X by swapping jobs. On the last episode, Tidus and Yuna just escaped from Seymour after defeating him in Bevelle, and they find themselves here in Lake Macalania once again. And this is the scene where Tidus and Yuna first finally kiss. This is where we actually see that they have admitted that they have feelings for each other and are starting a sort of romance. And there's something I really love about the romantic story that is told in Final Fantasy X. And the reason for that is that in a lot of other Final Fantasy games, you're often just sort of told that this is main boy character, this is main girl character, therefore they are in love. What Final Fantasy X does is it gives us enough time to see their relationship develop and get us to properly understand why these characters are connected to each other. So Yuna has had to watch her father go and fight Sin and bring the calm to everyone in Spira, and now she's deciding to follow in his footsteps. So while she was sitting there mourning the loss of her father, everyone around her was applauding and cheering and, saying how honourable and great he was, and therefore it sort of got pushed onto her.
So, you're High Summoner Braska's daughter. That's quite a name to live up to.
And I think all she really wants in life is for everyone in Spira to be happy. She says it several times.
If my getting married would help Spira, if it would make people happy, maybe I should do what I can.
She just dreams of a world where there is no suffering, there is no sin, because if that was the case, she would still have her father around. And Tidus sort of represents like a manifestation of that ethos, like he comes from this world where everything is perfect, there is no suffering, people watch Blitzball every day, everyone lives in peace and harmony, and she talks to him about this several times, and I think he sort of represents a hope for what Yuna really wants, and I think that's why she feels so connected to him. And Tidus also forces her to challenge her own beliefs, because she is blindly following along in her father's footsteps, but she knows the outcome and what it will mean and how it affected her, and she knows it's going to affect everyone that she loves around her. And Tidus not being from Spira and questioning the teachings and questioning why people have to sacrifice themselves puts the idea into her brain that things can change and she has the power to do that. So it makes sense why she feels so connected to him. But Tidus seems to be the only character that actively advises her to sort of go against the grain. Everyone else is telling her to stick to the teachings. Wakka and Lulu, they have her back, but they sort of are just going with whatever she thinks she has to do.
You got to marry him?
I think it is the right thing to do.
Okay, I guess.
And Tidus isn't afraid to say, actually, you don't want this, you're just doing this for everyone else, but there is a better way. And I don't know, I just think that's a very lovely story. Yuna's such a strong character, she's forced to be so strong for everyone.
But summoners and their guardians are kind of like Spira's ray of light. A lot of people in Spira depend on us. I learned to practice smiling when I'm feeling sad,
She's so unbelievably selfless in every act that she does. And I think Tidus kind of gives her some leeway and tells her she doesn't have to be this perfect person all the time.
It is hard to follow in his footsteps. As a summoner, the honor of having a father like him surpasses all that, I think.
Well, there wasn't much to honor about my old man, that's for sure.
You shouldn't say that about your father.
I got the right.
I guess you do.
She's also aware that Jecht, one of her father's guardians, is Tidus's father, and there's that little connection to someone that she's lost that kind of draws her to him. It sort of reminds her of, a happier memory. And as for Tidus, while he likes Yuna, Yuna is literally like a celebrity in Spira. She gives people hope. Everyone is obsessed with her. Why would you not love someone like Yuna? Everyone else seems to not believe him whenever he talks about Zanarkend and where he's from, but Yuna is the only person who kind of sees through that.
I do believe your Zanarkend exists. I really do,
I love seeing the progression of their relationship throughout this game, and I like that it happens at this point. Instead of it happening very early on, you sort of get the sense that they fancy each other early on, but they never actually actively do anything until this moment. Because there's more important things to think about. Yuna has to be focusing on her pilgrimage. She doesn't have time for stuff like this. But it's sort of in the background throughout the entire game, and I love that it just comes at this point. It's the perfect point for something like this to happen. The pacing here is just incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I haven't said much about the actual story and how it makes me feel and what I think about it. And that's just one thing about this game that I think has aged really well. The love story in this game just really is powerful and clever, and I really believe it. That's the most important part, right? Is that I believe these characters want to be with each other. And yeah, they did a great job. This scene is beautiful as well, watching them flutter around in the lake, all cute and lovely it's lovely. What a great scene. Bravo Square, bravo. Now that we're at the Calmlands, I think it's about time that I gave Yuna piercing on one of her weapons. And while I'm here, I'm going to upgrade everyone else's weapons and armor, because I haven't really done that. And I've got a lot of stuff and things from enemies, so I'm just going through everyone's equipment and giving them some handy techniques like SOS haste and, you know, higher defense, higher HP, higher magic. And I also give auto med to one of Auron's armors, which is really cool. I don't know why that just sort of feels like a thief ability to me. But yeah, let's get into this fight here with a Marlboro. And you can see here where the auto med comes in handy. This is also a chance where I can show you how strong we are looking. Yeah, Yuna's weapon unfortunately has Eye Strike. I really liked this weapon because it has alchemy on it, and I thought that's perfect. Alchemy and piercing, they're two really powerful abilities. But it also has Ice Strike, which is fine, but against the Marlboro, who is immune to ice, it does nothing. So I just have to remember that she has Ice Strike. I kind of hate giving weapons elemental attachments because it means you can't use them for everything. And I like my weapons to be, you know, universal, to be able to be used at any point in the game, not having to worry like, oh, am I at a stage in the game where there's going to be lots of ice enemies or fire enemies, so I have to counter it with this? You know, if they have no magical affinity attached to them, I can just use them whenever I want. Here we go, Bad Breath comes out. Everybody gets hurt by it, but then Auron automatically uses his remedy, which is so cool. It just means that we now have a character who can cure the statuses off of himself without having to have a turn. So enemies like the Marlboro are a little bit easier because we don't have to worry about getting instant game overs, because that can happen. If Marlboro confuses everyone and poisons them and everyone's attacking each other and getting hurt by poison, there's no way to break out of it, so you will just get a game over. So having one character like Auron with auto med just ensures that that is less likely to happen. And yeah, you can see that Waka's Firaga is doing a good amount of damage. He's like the most powerful character at the moment, which is really cool. Yuna, Waka, Lulu, those three I feel like have consistently been the strongest. And Auron as well. Auron's been pretty strong. Kimahri's pretty good for tech. Riku is just kind of bleh. And Tidus as well, not the best. But they can heal, so that is quite handy. Oh, as you can see here, he goes for a Bad Breath twice. And we get very lucky that Kimahri doesn't get berserked or confused, because if he did, that would have been very dangerous. But we managed to kill the Marlboro, no problem. Once we make it through the Calmlands, we then get ambushed by this big giant robot machine thing. I realise I call every enemy in this game giant robot thing, but there are just a lot of robots. And I know they're called Machina in this game, but to me, in my brain, it just makes sense to call them robots. So we have Big Robot Fight number 5023. And this guy's super weak to armor break. So I make sure Yuna gets that out straight away so that we can start dealing damage to him. And yeah, you can see he just dealt almost 2000 damage to Yuna, so he's quite powerful. But he is weak to darkness, which is really nice. Although the darkness doesn't help with Blast Punch, which is his automatic counter attack that does like half of our HP. It's kind of frustrating that we can't do anything against that, but we're just going through each character, stealing from him and making sure that we are doing the best we can to negate him. As you can see, we're using Firaga here, which does a nice amount of damage, to be honest. And we can get Mental Break on him as well to deal even more damage. Just testing out Delay to see if that works, and it doesn't. Auron dies because he is just getting whacked around by this guy. Yeah, look at that. Haymaker did 3,500 damage. Even with Protect on, that probably wouldn't stop them from KOing. He doesn't use Haymaker too often. It's like every 3 or 4 turns or so. So I'm just testing it. I'm using Power Break, and he's immune, so it's tricky. We have to make sure he has Darkness on him, and even when he does, that only really protects us against his regular attack, because Blast Punch can still hit us, and I think Haymaker can probably still hit us through Darkness as well. Kimahri's doing his thing, getting haste out on people, and I've realised his role is kind of like a synergist from Final Fantasy 13, where he gets buffs out on people. But someone in the comments in the last episode described him as a bard, and I thought that's like the perfect job class to give him, because he can still do damage, but a lot of his focus is on raising people's stats. So yeah, I'd like to say Kimahri's like a bard role. And yeah, this is like the team that we use for this fight from now on. We have Tidus to heal us and use Protect and things, and we have Yuna dealing damage, and Kimahri doing his bard thing, buffing everyone and attacking whenever he's not needed to buff. Actually, I did just tell a lie, because we swapped Tidus out after everyone has Protect on them for Riku, just because she has a bit more potency and efficiency than Tidus does. She has access to use, which means she can use protect on herself because she hasn't got the spell protect, but she can use a lunar curtain or light curtain even on herself. That effectively works as protect, which is awesome. And she also has access to Albed potions, which is a lot better than Cura because Cura does a lot of healing but only to one person, whereas Albed potions can heal everyone. And yeah, the rest of the fight goes exactly how you'd expect to. Just keep on healing with Riku, and now that Kimahri has got buffs on everyone, he can just start attacking, and Yuna again is also just attacking because that's what Yuna does. She is the powerhouse, the damage dealer of the party, and we love her for it. Yuna is a boss, and I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. Yuna is a boss ass Oh, look at that. 5,000 damage. I won't show you the rest of the fight because it just goes like this. We're just attacking until he dies. And yeah, after that, we move on towards Mount Gagazet. I'm not going to bother going through the Temple of the Stolen Faith, whatever it's called, but I am going to pick up Doran, who is one of the last goalkeepers we pick up for our goalkeeper-only team. And that episode will be coming next week, so stay tuned for that. For now, it is time to make our way to the sacred Mount Gagazet.
She was saying goodbye to the places she'd never see again.
Now, this is it. It's finally time for Kimahri to show what he's got and beat up those Ronzos that have been bullying him the entire time. And I'm actually going to skip through most of this fight because it's actually really boring and there's loads of boss battles in this episode, and if I go through every single one of them showing you every little detail, then it's going to take way too long and this video will already be longer than it already is. So I'm just going to skip through this one. Sorry Kimahri, you don't really get a chance to shine in the limelight, but you are probably the most boring character with the most boring storyline of everyone's.
No, drag her!
So I don't feel too bad skipping this. Just know that it was easy, we didn't have any problems, they did barely any damage to us, and Kimahri wins the battle. And if you thought we could just move on from that, well, you are sadly wrong. It's time for some more beautiful Final Fantasy X cringe.
Summoner Yuna!
Oh, don't make me sing.
What is it this time?
Oh, don't make me sing. I could sing one, I guess.
Okay, word.
Okay, so let's see how strong we are after that battle. So the fiends on Mount Gagazet aren't too difficult. There are a lot of them though. I don't know what it is, but the random encounter rate here just seems to go off every 5 seconds. You walk for like 10 steps and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in a fight. And this happens all the time. It's super annoying. And Mount Gagazet is also very long as well. Like it's just a long road that you have to go down when not much happens. But luckily our characters are feeling pretty strong at this point, you know? And yeah, we're against these little plant monsters and a bomb. And what's interesting about the bombs is, although we're in like an icy sort of mountainy area, they're actually weak to ice, whereas most of the other enemies here are weak to fire. The bombs are different. They are actually fire and are weak to ice, which is really cool. And it just so happens that good old Yuna has an ice strike weapon. So yeah, these bombs, if they're not killed in 3 hits, then they will explode and deal loads of damage to you. You know, it's been difficult in the past trying to kill these guys, but bam, have a look at that. Over 3,000 damage means that 2 hits and a little tiny hit will be enough to kill them. So that makes this part of the game a little bit easier for us. And yeah, everybody's looking good. I'm getting nervous for the next Seymour fight because I know it's a tough one, but we're looking pretty strong. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. Hopefully, we will see what happens. But yeah, the normal enemies here, they're easy as pie. We actually pick up an armor for Yuna that has SOS Haste on it, which is really cool, so I go ahead and give it SOS Protect and SOS Shell as well. Then we meet Awaka's brother Once, who has the worst British accent I've ever heard in my entire life.
Don't worry about me, just go help Lady Yuna.
He does, however, has some very cool weapons and armor available for us, so we go ahead and equip everyone with that and start customizing it to make it stronger. Giving people SOS Haste and Protect is really cool, and yeah, just boosting up everyone's stats. And then we do a bit of leveling where Kimahri gets Hastega, Tidus gets Kyuraga, Riku learns Haste as well, and then we're just going to have a quick look at everybody's stats before we go into the Seymour fight. So Yuna there is looking super healthy with 45 strength, a lot more than Lulu now. But she's still packing a big punch as well, Lulu is. You know, they're some powerful characters, them two, let's just say that. Now we can see Auron here is also very powerful. He has 33 strength and 33 agility as well, which is really nice. And you can sort of compare him to Kimahri. They're both on a similar sort of agility and strength level. And then of course we have Riku, who is still very weak in the stats department, but she has a lot of like cool techniques that she can use. You know, she's very vulnerable, she's very weak, but she can do a lot of stuff. You know, jack of all trades, master of none. And then you can see Tidus and Waka are still our mages. Waka's magic is still really low. I wish it was higher, but hey ho, that is just the nature of Lulu's grid, unfortunately.
Hello. Hi.
Now, before we get into the next Seymour fight, I'm just going to remind you guys to please like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't enjoy the content, then don't bother. I hate saying this, I hate telling people to like, comment and subscribe, but I did it on the last video and the number shows that by saying that, it works. People, you know, respond to it. And it just helps the algorithm. It lets me know that you guys enjoy watching this sort of stuff. And yeah, incentivizes me to keep on going. So yeah, we got this long ass cutscene with Seymour, and it's time to face Seymour. I don't know what this one's called. It's the giant crabby shell looking Seymour fight. Yes, that one. As you can see here, the first phase of this fight consists of Seymour using zombie attack on us and then using full life to wipe us out. He could just use life, it does the exact same thing as full life, but he just has to be that extra and do full life on us. I can see here he's weak to silence, so I silence him. Don't actually think that does anything, especially in this first phase, but yeah, cool that we got it off, I suppose. And yeah, we're just testing out our character, seeing how much damage we do, and yeah, Seymour seems to have quite a lot of defense because Yuna's attacks are only doing like just over 2,000, which is not very much. Luckily we have a lot of holy waters which we can use, and as you can see he uses full life and it does nothing because we got no zombies on our team. Testing out Waka's Firaga now, and that's not doing very much damage, and I'm like, how are we going to do this? It might just be one of those fights where it takes a long time, but I'm feeling confident, you know. I know this boss is tough, much tougher than the last Seymour fight, but I feel like our characters have come a long way, and they must be pretty strong. Yeah, you can see here he's not weak to delay. You can't delay him at all, which is annoying because delay and quick hit and all of those moves that increase our speed and, you know, give us more turns, super duper powerful. Really, really broken in this game, I think. And yeah, I keep getting silence on him just because I'm like, well, it works, so I might as well do it, even though it probably doesn't do anything because the full life is actually being done by Seymour's little buddy. You can't see his little buddy on this one, but he has that like little friend that he had in the last one. Yeah, so here comes Cross Chop, and oofed, that is a big amount of damage. Yeah, and he just keeps getting loads of turns in. Like, look at that, he used his lance attack thing, and he used full life, and he managed to use his like cross beam thingy attack. So it's looking a little bit scary. This first phase is surprisingly not that difficult. Despite how much we're struggling, it only gets harder from here. So yeah, making sure, now we have Hastega, it's so much easier to get all of our party members haste. So that's really handy. This makes Kimahri super useful once again. And yeah, here he goes again, full life, ain't gonna do shit, mate, sorry about it. And we're mugging, stealing an elixir, that's a very powerful item, I'm glad we got that. Testing our armor break, doesn't work, that's pretty annoying. So yeah, He also can use Dispel on all of us, which is so stupid because it means we have to keep putting Haystagger back on us. I'm going to keep doing it, you know, because it's just so much better to have all of us with haste on us. Now you can see the Protect comes out, which means he's moved into the second phase of his fight. So, yeah, we immediately use Dispel to get rid of that because we need to be doing physical damage to it. It's just more powerful than our magic attacks. And here comes the second Cross Cleave. Yikes. That time Tidus dies because Tidus is a weak little baby. Sorry about it, Tidus. You just suck in this playthrough. And yeah, we get him revived pretty soon. And I'm like, quick, we need to get everybody's health back up again. So make sure I get Zombie off and see what he goes for. Of course, he goes for full life. And it does nothing because we got the Zombie off. Thank God for those holy waters. I think I picked those up from once. I think you can get it off of him before this fight. So that's really handy. Curaga doesn't do too much because Yuna has SOS Shell, but it's enough. And we get another Curaga out onto Kimahri, doing almost 5,000 healing with Curaga. So like, I don't understand why Yuna's grid has so many magic spheres in it, because increasing her magic just increases her healing potential, but like, Curaga does so much anyway, like it's gonna heal you to full health regardless. So like, why does she need that much magic? I'm talking about Yuna's sphere grid, you know, Tidus. Why does Tidus need that much magic? I thought the second phase had come out. Turns out it hasn't. He's still using Lance Apothecary, or whatever it's called. He's using Dispel again. Maybe now he's moved into his next phase. We will see. Haystagger, once again, he's always going to Dispel it. I'm just going to keep on using it. And aha, this is now the second phase because he's used Reflect. And we want to get that off of him immediately because he starts using Flare. But if we can Dispel it, then that means he can no longer use Flare on himself, and instead he'll actually be damaging himself, which is exactly what we want. So here we go. He uses Flare, hurts himself. Silly boy. Now he's glowing up and he's ready to annihilate, and I'm like, ooh, I cannot remember what this attack does. I just know it's going to be powerful. If he has to glow and charge up for it, it's probably going to be pretty powerful. So let's just wait and see. His defense has also increased with that, so I'm like, something scary is going to happen, but I'm like, I think we can take it, you know. Another Reflect comes out. We're just going to Dispel it immediately. I'm using these three because Kimahri can keep putting haste on us, Yuna has damage, and Tidus can heal and use Dispel and things like that. I switch into Waka because I can see that our physical damage isn't doing very much. Now I'm just waiting. I'm getting out some stronger characters here because I'm like, he's going to do a big attack. So let's get out my strong boys. I've got Auron and I've got Yuna. Waka's not very strong, but yeah, let's see what this does. So we're taking a lot of damage. Waka goes down, to be expected. And then everyone dies. And yeah, that's our third game over we've had. And this is the first actual game over that we've had that's been a proper fight. So let's go through this annoying cutscene again and try for a second time. So I'm not going to go into this fight too much. The difference we make in this fight is that we give Protect to everyone before Total Annihilation comes out. So here we go, Total Annihilation comes out and Protect isn't doing anything, it's magic damage. So yeah, same thing happens, we die for the second time against Seymour. So it's time to watch that cutscene one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Third time's the charm, right? So on our third attempt, we give Shell to everyone and then Total Annihilation comes out. And yes, as you can see there, Shell is doing its thing. We are taking way less damage. Everybody survives pretty well, except for Tidus, of course, because Tidus sucks.
Hey, what's the big idea?
Yeah, so now I can show you the rest of the fight. So he continues using Flare on himself because he's a big fat dum-dum. And yeah, we are looking rather healthy. I know that we can survive Total Annihilation if it comes out again, as long as we have Shell on us. So yeah, I'm just going with Kimahri to raise our stats using Cheer. And it's just that point in the fight where it's attack constantly. So you can see here, he's glowing again. It's time for another Total Annihilation, but we survived the last one. We'll survive again. Shell is still on us, so we're looking healthy. I go ahead and give Kimahri Shell. I'm just looking for the light curtains. I believe that's what I'm doing. Nope, I used a silence grenade. Don't know why. I used a silence grenade there. So, yeah. Oh, he doesn't even get the second total annihilation out. Perfect. He just dies. He just goes down. And yeah, that took a very long time because obviously I had to retry the fight 3 times and have to watch that cutscene 3 times, which is really long. But yeah, I feel you, Tidus. I'm tired too. I get it. All right.
And stay up there!
We're nearly at the home stretch now, but before we continue, we learn that Tidus is a dream or something. I'm not really sure. They don't make it very obvious.
Wait, this is a dream. A dream? Dreaming.
Dreaming. You are a dream. Dreams.
Dreams?
Yes, you're a dream of dreams. Dreaming.
So what if I'm a dream?
Dreaming dreams. You are the dream that will end our dreaming.
What happened?
I was dreaming.
Now that we're in the cave in Mount Gagazet, it's time to show you this fight here. So this big flying eye monster is probably the monster with the highest evasion in the entire game. I could be wrong. Of all the normal enemies, I do feel like this one has the highest evasion. And it also happens to be resistant to magic. So that makes it very hard for us because Lulu has the highest accuracy of any of our characters. And I think Waka is sort of on par with her. And she can't hit it, and Waka can't really hit it, so you'll see how much trouble we have with this particular fight. The other little enemy here, the Jewel Horn, he's quite easy to beat. You know, he's fairly weak. His flame ball attack does not a lot of damage at all, and he's weak to piercing, and yeah, he goes down quite easy. And this guy doesn't hurt us too much. He can cause confusion, which is a bit annoying. Aside from that, it's like not a tough enemy. It's just made really tough by the fact that we can't hit it, and the hits we can do on it by using magic does barely anything. So yeah, this is where aim comes in handy. I'm not sure if I use it in this fight or not. We'll soon see. But yeah, Lulu, as you can see, is missing. He then confuses us. I'm like, ugh, okay, we gotta cure the confusion off of her. We've also got to give her haste so that she can get more turns in and just hope and pray for the best. I test out some magic here with Riku, and 149 damage is very, very bad. It's not going to do anything to this guy. So I go ahead and use some Abed potions to heal us back up again. And go ahead. Come on, Lulu, you can do it. And no, she can't do it. And I'm like, why is this so long? Let's try Waka. Here we go. Waka missed as well. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? I have to use aim, really. I hope I do eventually start to use aim because otherwise I look very silly. Nope, I'm just going to keep attacking because I'm like, at this point, I might as well. Something I didn't realise is that luck can also increase your chances of hitting an enemy with high evasion. So I've given quite a few luck spheres to Auron just because it felt like a thief thing to have high luck. So I should have really been using Auron to attack this guy because yeah, he just has a higher chance. Here we go. Yeah, I'm using aim, so that's really good. Oh, we got a hit, but it was with Waka, whose damage is terrible, so that means absolutely nothing. We're going to keep on getting confused. Auron keeps missing, Lulu keeps missing. I'm like, I should probably cure the confusion off of Waka, but like, what's the point? Finally, Auron gets him down. So that's probably that luck stat that Auron has, which got us through that. Now you can see we got to complete these little trials and actually get this first time, which I was pretty proud of. So yeah, look at that, first time. And then we swim into these little colourful bumholes that represent each character. Waka has the big fat bumhole, of course, because he's a big fat bumhole. And yeah, we can continue on to the next boss fight. Now, Riku has actually managed to go to everybody's sphere grid and learn their basic skills. So I'm going to use a friend sphere and get her to where Lulu is, because Lulu is at the end of Waka's sphere grid. So Waka has a lot of magic and strength and HP nodes in his grid. And I really want that for Riku. I want her magic and strength to be really high, sort of like how a red mage is. And since she's learnt a technique from every single sphere grid, I'm just going to set her onto Waka's path now. So Riku is becoming like a secondary Waka within her red mage sort of role, because I've run out of spaces for her to go to. Now I'm just showing you the end of this fight against the Yeti because it picks up a rare drop, which you will see in a second is called the Raging Cacti, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? So I go on to Lulu and check out this Raging Cacti, and it actually has counterattack, which is so cool because when would you ever see counterattack on someone like Lulu? So That's cool, she's got high strength anyway, so that counter attack is going to be pretty handy. And now let's move on to the big dragon beast fight that protects Zanarkend or something, yeah. As always, we're going to get Hastega out straight away with Kimari, which is awesome. This guy doesn't have any way to get rid of our haste, so that'll stay on for the whole fight. He's also really weak to armor break, so we make sure we get that off. And then yeah, this attack here, it's kind of like bad breath in the sense that it gives us loads of status ailments, but luckily Yuna doesn't fall asleep, so she can swap out into Tidus, and Tidus can use Yuna on all the party members that are asleep. And yeah, as you can see here, he goes to swipe Lulu, but he misses, and yeah, check it out, Cactar does his little counter attack, and that's so cool. That is the first counterattack weapon we've got on a useful character. We have counterattack weapons for Waka and Tidus, but they are terrible at, you know, doing physical damage, so there's no point in using it. I tried triple foul here, which Riku has learnt from Waka's grid, and it does nothing. He's not weak to blind or anything like that. Yuna's pretty powerful. As you can see, she's doing over 5,000 damage, which is way more than any other character, so yeah, it's really cool now that she's properly into Auron's grid and has become this mega strong character. Lulu's not too bad either, but there's no comparing to Yuna. She is just next level. Yeah, the mana beam attack does a lot of damage. Poor Kimari, he's got very low defenses, so he goes down quite badly. I think it's magic defense that he lacks, and that's why it did so much damage to him, because it's a magic based attack. He can cast Protect on himself, so we make sure we get rid of that straight away with Tidus. Yeah, keeping our characters all healed up with our secondary white mage, which is Auron and Riku, because they can use those really cool Albed potions. Yeah, Curaga does 999 healing, which is so annoying, because it's like, what was the point in me doing all that damage if he's just going to cure it all back up again? But yeah, you can see armor break wears off there, so I make sure to get that back on him again. And now our attacks are doing some good damage to him again. Yeah, here we go again. Lulu's counterattack coming in handy, getting an extra 2,000 damage in when it's not even her turn. Making sure people have haste to get the fight done quicker. Yeah, this fight didn't take too much problems, you know, it was a nice and easy one. We're also getting a few lucky misses, which is nice. Our evasion must be pretty good. And these are our strong characters, Auron, Lulu and Yuna. They've got good strength, good speed, good evasion, good defenses, good HP, like, yeah, powerful stuff going on here. This fight is never usually too big a problem. The gimmick of this is that everyone gets cursed, so they can't use overdrives, but we're not even using overdrives anyway. Oh yeah, you can see there, Lulu actually survived that mana breath attack, which is awesome. She's got some good defenses on her. Not much to report on with that fight. Big old dragon goes down. We can continue on towards Zanarkend and get towards the end of the game.
You remind me of myself.
We get some really cool character development here from Auron, and I haven't really spoken too much about Auron besides the fact that he's awesome, but I love his character so much. Yuna and Auron and Tidus are by far the most developed characters of this game. It really is about those three. And you get this sense that Auron is sort of like this beaten down old soldier who had so much life in him, had so much hope for the world, and then it was crushed when he saw the truth behind Yevon and Spira, you know?
Legendary guardian. I was just a boy about your age, actually. I wanted to change the world too, but I changed nothing.
I think he looks at Tidus and sees a lot of himself in him. He can see history repeating itself and he's determined to make sure that doesn't happen. But he doesn't help everyone straight away. He gives them the freedom to make their own choices and realize the mistakes by themselves. And I just think that's a very admirable trait. I just think Auron's got a lot of mystery around him and he's just very cool. We see a lot of his personality here in this scene. I want to share something I found very entertaining. So when Lulu counterattacks when it's against her own party member, she just slaps him right in the face. So that's pretty cool. That's something you might not have ever known before. So we do some leveling, and Yuna and Lulu have both made it to the end of their sphere grids. And Riku now is also at the end of the sphere grid. So what I do now is I use Lulu to Friend Sphere over to Yuna, then I use Yuna to Friend Sphere over to where Riku is, since she is also at the end of Waka's sphere grid. So now Lulu and Yuna have essentially swapped sphere grids with each other. We've got a lot to get through in this episode, so I'm just going to go straight past the Cloister of Trials and show you this boss fight against another giant wormy dragon thing, much like Evray, but this one's a little less cool, but it's definitely a lot more dangerous. And the gimmick of this guy is that everyone is on these little glyph thingy-mabobs, and he can make them flash, and then after a few times they explode and you instantly die no matter how much HP you have. It just causes death. Yeah, he also counterattacks after every single hit with that move where he hits absolutely everyone for massive damage. So yeah, this is actually quite a scary fight. I often forget this boss battle exists, mainly because the next boss battle against Yunalesca is quite an iconic bit of the story and an iconic fight in general. So as you can see there, he uses Berserk Tail to make us berserk, and the camera just lingers on for a very long time. I think it's to like show that they are berserk because of all the flashing lights. It's the game being like, just so you know, you are berserked. So that's really nice. And yeah, every single hit we get a counterattack, but depending on where we are can actually affect if it gets us or not. So we can move our party members around to make sure we don't get hit by the counterattack and to make sure that we don't get hit by the glyphs as well. And yeah, this is quite a cool fight actually. It's got a lot of tactic to it compared to a lot of other fights. There's much more to do because of how you move. And there's one thing I will pride this game on, is that the boss battles in this game all have very different ways to defeat them. They take the basic structure of what the battle system is and give you little mechanics that are unique to each fight, you know, whether it's moving the airship backwards and forwards, moving your party members around, or like the Chocobo Eater where you have to push him off the edge. It's really cool. It keeps the game exciting and fun and adds a little twist to it. I think this game's brilliant. How it can do so much with a relatively simple system. It's like complicated but so easy to pick up and learn, you know. And yeah, as you can see here, the glyphs are glowing, which means it is about to blow up, and it does so on Auron, who's already dead, so it doesn't even matter really. He just dies twice, which isn't a thing. But now I left Yuna in Berserk because she's a highest damage dealer and Berserk increases your strength even though it forces you to attack. I thought, well, if anyone's going to attack, it's going to be Yuna. But you can see mistakes were made because Yuna is the last one standing and she can't do anything, so she dies. And that's like, what, the 5th death? I've lost count at this point. There's been a lot of deaths in this video, but it's the point in the game where things are getting tricky. So let's try that one again. Okay, so this time around I'm going to make sure that I'm setting up correctly, getting Protect on everyone because this guy only ever does physical damage, and making sure everyone's got haste and only attacking when we know we can survive the counter attack. And another thing is making sure we do not have any berserked party members, because berserk, as we've seen, can cause a lot of problems. Even though it increases our strength, you don't want to automatically be attacking this guy. You really want to pick and choose when you attack him to make sure you know you can survive. So with the characters that aren't very strong, mainly Auron, Yuna and Lulu, those are the 3 that I want to use in this battle. So the rest of them I'm just getting them out and defending so that they've all got a turn and they can get the experience, but I'm not playing around with them. And yeah, we're getting out people like Kimari to cast haste on people, which is cool. And Auron actually kind of becomes the MVP of this fight because he can just do the most. Yuna also, Yuna's alchemy comes in handy with this battle as well. Auron's good because he can cast haste on people, he can cast protect on people with his use technique using light curtains, and he can also use Albed potions. Lulu comes in handy in this fight because she has counterattacks. So you got alchemy plus Auron's techniques plus Lulu's counterattack, and that makes this fight go a lot smoother. These 3 are really, really strong. We get into a bit of a pickle here where we need to be reviving people, and as you can see, because of Yuna's alchemy there, Auron actually gets revived to full health with the Phoenix down, which is really cool. But yeah, we need to be reviving people, but we also need to be curing berserk off of people, and it's like this sort of battle between, I need to get this many turns in to make sure that they're not berserked, but then this person dies and we have 1 berserked. So it's just a case of reviving and then healing berserk. I feel like reviving is more important than getting rid of berserk, because obviously if everyone dies then that's still good. So luckily he went for Lulu there because she was berserked and now she's dead, which means that all 3 party members are now alive after that Phoenix down. 2 of them are on full health. Yuna is now giving herself high potion, so she's nearly on full health. And this is the point where we've stabilized. We've got 3 party members that are alive. We can now start casting haste on them, protect on them, and curing berserk whenever it comes out. The counterattack, as you can see there, super powerful. Lulu gets berserked, but it's nice that she can counterattack and not cause their counterattack. It would be nice to have Kimahri in this because Kimahri can use Haste Stagger at this point, but Kimahri doesn't have the use technique, so he's just not as useful. Orin's agility is also really high, which is handy as well, which means he gets a lot of turns in to do his special stuff. And yeah, from now on the fight becomes pretty easy because we're all set up, we've got Protect, we've got Haste, we can cure Berserk whenever we need, we've got Yuna with her Alchemy to revive people to full health again. Things are looking good. I would like to get Alchemy on Orin just so that his Albed Potions do 2000 healing instead, but I just haven't found the correct armor to put it on or one that already has it on, so for now what we've got is fine, you know. And yeah, I won't show you much of the rest of the fight because it just sort of goes like this. We're set up now and it just becomes a case of healing when we take damage, doing damage whenever we can, and moving around the board to avoid getting blown up. And yeah, that is the Guardian Worm fight.
You must choose the one whom I will change to become the faith of the final summoning.
So this is the part where we find out that Yuna has to sacrifice not only herself but one of her guardians to become the final Aeon. And this is where the party all decide together that no, we are not having it, Yunalesca, we're going to fight you. And we get this cool speech from Orin, which is like the most anime thing ever, where it keeps cutting between each person and you hear everyone's reaction.
This is it. Now is the time to choose. Die and be free of pain, or live and fight your sorrow.
It's really cool. It's like this is the moment where they're really going against the grain. They are really going against Yevon, and if they destroy Yunalesca, then no one can ever get the final Aeon ever again. So it's like, whoa! It feels super epic. It feels super powerful. It feels like this is what we've been waiting for the entire game. This is like the badass moment where we see that our party ain't no joke. We are really going to do stuff that nobody has ever done before, and I love it.
Yuna! This is our story. Now let's see this thing through together.
Yunalesca is that story boss that you don't really forget when you play this game. She's super tough. It's another battle that has 3 phases, much like a lot of the Seymour fights, and it's just very cool. You see her evolve throughout the fight from like this tiny little lady with like crazy Medusa looking hair into like this giant crazy actual Medusa head, and yeah, it's very cool. I mean, this fight you usually get a game over on because if you aren't aware, she uses Hellbiter, which inflicts zombie onto people, and then you automatically assume to get rid of the zombie, right? But if you do get rid of the zombie, she will use Megadeth, and if your party members are not inflicted with zombie, then they will die. And how are you to know this your first time around? If you do know that, then this fight isn't actually that hard. Her normal attacks do very little damage, like 100 to 200 damage, which is like peasy, right? That being said, she still does a lot and she has a lot of HP, and there are still some pretty tough moves we have to deal with. Yeah, she will automatically counterattack quite a lot with some status ailments. Luckily for us, Orin has that auto med, so he will definitely be out. If you attack her with magical damage, she will counter with silence, and if you attack her with physical damage, she will counter with blind. You can see there she absorbed some of our HP, but it's not too big of an issue. This first phase really ain't nothing too special. It's just her countering us every time we hit her, which is like slightly annoying because we have to cure off the status ailments, but it's not actually that hard. She does, however, get a little bit harder when it comes to her second phase, which we're about to see in a second. So Orin is just healing us up, and now Yuna is ready to give her the final blow. She now emerges from the ground and it's like, whoa, what's gonna happen? And she just like grows tentacles. Because of course, why would there not be tentacles? It's Final Fantasy, they love a tentacle monster. Oh, and look, she summons tentacles out from the ground, which hits everyone. So as you can see now, everybody is in zombie form. And this is where you could go wrong in this fight. Do not cure zombie off of everyone. You want to have at least one party member without zombie. Or with zombie, sorry. You need one party member with zombie. Because that way you can survive her Mega Death attack, which comes out in the 3rd phase. So yeah, she puts zombie on you and then she uses cure on you. So like, obviously you're going to think, oh, I don't want to be healed to death, so I'll get rid of zombie. No, don't do that. She's a lie. That's oh, you know what? That's kind of deep. Maybe this boss fight is trying to teach you that like everything you see isn't exactly as it seems, which is kind of like Yunalesca herself and Yevon, you know what I mean? So like the fact that zombie is seen as a negative status ailment but then becomes a positive one later is kind of like how Yevon is supposed to be like holy but is actually super evil and stuff. Whoa, that's like mad. I've literally just thought of that right now. I'm very tired. This video is so long. Yeah, you can see we're using haste a lot on all of our people. These 3 are the 3 that I'm using because Yuna's strong, Auron's got that auto med, Kimahri can haste. I guess that's why I'm using these 3. He's also pretty strong now, Kimahri. Kimahri's strength has gotten up there. Tidus's grid kind of starts off a bit like crappy, but as it gets towards the end and you learn haste stagger and he gets more HP nodes and strength nodes and agility nodes, he becomes super powerful, so that's cool. Hellbiter coming out again, giving us zombie, like that even matters. Auron obviously automatically cures his zombie off, so that's cool. You know that he's never gonna be zombie for too long. And then the final blow comes out and we now reach the 3rd phase, which is like super ultra Medusa evil phase. And yeah, here comes Mega Death. So as you can see, everybody is getting deathed, but only Auron dies because he's the only one who is not a zombie. And yeah, Kimahri and Yuna survive it, but what's annoying about zombie is the fact that obviously you can't heal yourself, so you need to have a party member that's zombied, but she does so much little chip damage to you over time that it actually starts to add up, and like Yuna has been zombied for like most of this fight now, and I can't do anything about it. Like I can't get her health back up. I just have to either wait for her to die or just leave her on low HP, but luckily being on low HP isn't too big a deal because, 200 damage, you saw there, 86 damage with Protect, it's like fine. Medusa is using Curaga quite a lot, but only on Auron, who isn't a zombie, which is like, cool, keep at it, love, Maybe I would have had a harder time with this fight if the RNG would have been worse, but I feel that about a lot of fights in this game. Like, I've just gotten very lucky a lot of times in this game, and hey, I will take it. I think like my PlayStation likes to take pity on me. Like it can see that I'm struggling and that I don't really do everything the correct way, so it's like, you know what, we'll give you this, we'll just let you have an easy time. And hey, I ain't complaining. The rest of the fight goes as followed. They use Hellbiter once again, and Yuna manages to survive with 13 HP, and I'm like, yes Yuna, hang in there, I ain't curing your zombie off of you just yet. Auron is being the Healy man that he is. And Yuna, I think I decided to use a Holy Water. Yeah, because I'm like, it's getting to the point where she's literally about to die. I think I have to, I have to give her some health. And hopefully Hellbiter comes out again before Megadeth does. But I'm not too sure if that happens. Oh, here it is. Megadeth comes out once again. And now 2 party members are going to die. But that's cool. Kimahri don't give a f***. He's chilling. And, oh, we use a Mega Phoenix. That was very silly. I used a Mega Phoenix there because I was like, oh yeah, I'll get both of them up. But it obviously kills Kimahri in the process. So that was me being a dum-dum. And now we only have 1 party member that's not a zombie again. So that's a bit silly. Yeah, let's revive Kimahri. He needs to come back in this. And then Hellbiter comes out again, which is perfect. Now we have 2 party members that are zombied and 1 who is not, thanks to Auron's auto-med. And that's kind of the best way to play it, I think. Having 2 party members with zombie is just better because having 2 party members alive after Megadeth is just easier for you to, get back into the game again and not get a game over. Which it looks like isn't going to happen in this fight, It all went pretty well. And yeah, like I said, this boss fight is like sort of hard, only if you don't know what she does. The confusion could be quite annoying. I suppose if everyone gets confused as well from Mind Blast, that could increase your chances of game over. But as soon as you know the gimmick behind this one, it's annoying. Like, you kind of have to play her at least once to know what she does in order to not get a game over. So like, most times on your first playthrough you will get a game over with her, and you'll have to watch that cutscene again. And it's even longer than the Seymour one that we had to retry. But luckily we do not have to watch that cutscene again, because we are getting towards the end of the fight here. I do one more cheer, Yuna attacks her, and then she is dead. And that is us done for this part of the series. And next week we're going to take a little break from the main story and do the episode where we find out if we can win a League of Blitzball using only goalkeepers. So we now have access to the airship again and can fly around all of Spira, and we're going to pick up our final goalkeeper. After that, it will be the final part of this series where we defeat Sin and then defeat Braska's final Aeon. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, who knows? Wait and find out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. My name's been Jamsack. See you next time.